And the same shit happens like in the gay community. Like when you are a gay activist, like a genuine gay activist, like somebody who really cares about the community, somebody like me, somebody like me who says, hey, you know what? Let's stop with this promiscuous sex. Let's get our act together. Enough with the drugs and all that shit at the gay clubs. Let's stop with all this bullshit. But though most of it's immature. It's not really something that we are proud of. It's not like you're gonna go out on a speaking tour and say, "Oh, well, I'm a gay guy and I love taking poppers and I love sucking cock and all that shit." Maybe on this show you might say that, but but not in a serious way outside of this show or in the real political arena. But I see this all the time. These weaselly, money grubbing people, like they'll shake you down for anything, for a penny, for a nickel, all for the cause. That reminds me, I want to talk about this article that I read yesterday. Oh, it's right here. Evan Wolfson, he is a head honcho over at Freedom to Marry. Now, I never had any problems with Freedom to Marry. One of my favorite campaigns and organizations is actually the American Foundation for Equal Rights. That's the group that is bringing on the Prop 8 lawsuit with Ted Olson and David Boies. So I contributed money to that. I thought that was worthwhile. Now, I have contributed money to many various causes, political causes. I contributed money to the Washington thing, to the Washington gay marriage fight. I contributed money in Minnesota. I mean, I gave a lot of money this year. And I'm really poor, by the way. I mean, making an average wage. But I gave money. I mean, I saved up money. And I gave some money away. I have no qualms about giving money to really good and needy causes. But if you're going to be in there for your own sake, if you're going to be there, if you're some sort of fat ass that sits around in a cubicle all day thinking that you're some sort of, some sort of general, basically your only job is to give out orders. And you're sitting around in your cubicle, your fat ass, shouting on the phone. I've seen this before. These fat asses sit around in their fucking cubicles all day, shouting on the phone, yelling and screaming, and try to be all tough on the phone, and try to act like the president. They're some sort of leader or something. And that's fine if you're gonna be that. Go ahead, be that way. But if you're trying to run an organization in which people are volunteering for you, that's a whole different story, man. I mean, if you're the boss of a company, okay, fine. Or if you're in government, yeah, you're going to have to be like that. But if you're going to be somebody that has a weak volunteer base, and believe me, a lot of these volunteers and these gay marriage initiatives, I mean, they were pretty tired by the end of the campaign. A lot of these volunteers were stretched out. And this guy, Evan Wolfson, the head honcho, typical, again, I'm not saying that he's a fat ass, but he's almost fitting the picture of a fat ass. Sits around and just shouts out orders all day. And of course he smiles for the cameras and he goes on MSNBC and all that kind of shit. Oh, that's good for him, right? That's good for him. And that's what I hate about the gay rights movement, is that a lot of people are in it for themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're not in it because they really love this. They're not in it because they really find a value and a purpose for the community as a whole, for the entire country. Who gives a shit? I'm in it for my resume. Sooner or later, I will be working for the White House. I'll be chief of staff or something. But listen to this. I'm going to read you this article. Freedom to Marry President Evan Wolfson's post-election day comments about the role his organization played in the pro-Question 6 campaign raised more than a few eyebrows among Maryland same-sex marriage advocates. This is what he said. He said, quote, "We took the lead on raising early money for 3 of the 4 states and left others to do the same in Maryland. When it became clear that others had not stepped up, Freedom to Marry stepped up again. We always thought Maryland could do it." No, that's not what happened. And let me tell you this. I had doubts about Maryland too. I thought it was going to be very difficult to get Maryland to pass this, but I was like, well, whatever. I'm still going to give money and I'm still going to support that. Because I think that even though you might lose, hey, you might have to give it a shot. And it doesn't matter how big Goliath looks like. Throw a rock at him. See what happens. And in the case of David, well, he beat his ass. Alright? And this guy, what he did was, look, what he did was that he did not want to be part of the Maryland thing because he knew, well, he thought that it was not going to, be any good, that they were going to fail. And here's the thing, that Freedom to Marry, what they wanted to do was say, look, we need to pick up and we only need to support campaigns that are going to win because that's what they want to be attached to. They wanted to be attached to these campaigns in Washington, Maine, and in Minnesota where they were going to win. Because then what they can do is they can go to the people like me or other people that give them money saying, hey, we need, we won all these elections. Give us more money. We need more money. So that way they can pay for my salary and all my travel expenses. That's how it works. And when Evan Wolfson said, wait a minute, Maryland might not win because we saw those early polling, poll results, and they didn't look that really good for Maryland, so some people bailed. And that was Evan Wolfson and Freedom to Marry. They bailed because they thought that was the reason before that they were going to lose this initiative. So they didn't want to be attached to that because they wanted a perfect record. They wanted a really perfect record so they can bring it back to their donors and say, look, we are the real winners. We're the ones that can bring you all this. Give us more money. So they ditched Maryland. They threw Maryland under the bus. All because they wanted to look good and they wanted to look good for their donors. I mean, that's why they did that. It's plain and simple. And now they're trying to take credit for this. They came in late. But because after a few more other polls came out and it started to look good for the gay marriage initiative, now they came in, right? They gave out some money. And I'm glad that they came back and they gave some money because we needed money for that. But the thing is now we know what they're thinking, what their mode of thinking is, and what their priorities are. Priorities are to keep the donors happy. So that way people like Evan Wolfson can keep his job. Job security, man. You get that? So now a lot of these gay activists in Maryland, they're all up in arms about this because Evan Wolfson had the audacity to come out and take credit for this. Take credit for something that he didn't do. I mean, he contributed, okay, fine, you contributed a little bit. But then he's saying that if it wasn't for us, basically this is what he's saying. If it wasn't for us, you people would be in the shit, right? Gay marriage would not be legal. The voters will not support gay marriage. But that wasn't the story. The story was that polls after polls, after Evan Wolfson and Freedom to Marry left, polls after polls were showing that people in Maryland were starting to support gay marriage. And when Evan Wolfson saw that, he came back like a rolling bull and gave him like, what, 20 grand, was it? So he can take some credit for what other people did to change those poll numbers. I mean, the reason why you take poll numbers is to know where you're at. I mean, where to start. I mean, to know how much resources you're going to have to devote, where in the state, which counties need to be getting more attention. I mean, that's why you take polls. You take polls and then you say, okay, well, 48% are still not really there for us. We need to go out there. So what you do is, if you don't have a majority, then you go build one. You take about 30 days or whatever. Take go out there and educate people. You take your time, and then you have another poll, and then you basically see if you had any results. And that's what happened. People were actually working on the ground, trying to convince people. They were talking to their family members, their friends, their colleagues, co-workers, students. They were getting everybody involved on this issue. And then Mr. Wolfson comes in like El Capo. You know, he comes in and says, "Oh, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be able to have gay marriage in the state." Golly. I mean, this is really what I hate about all this shit, really. It becomes about egos, and it's all about careers and how my resume looks like. One advocate familiar with the Maryland campaign who spoke to the Blade on condition of anonymity blasted Wolfson's remarks. That quote was a big fat lie, the source said. Evan did everything within his power to make fundraising for the Maryland campaign difficult, if not impossible. He was constantly speaking to national donors, telling them that the Maryland campaign couldn't win. And that's what he said. He was diverting people from donating to Maryland because he wanted to keep everything to himself and take credit for all the wins that were going to happen in Maine, because everybody knew that Maine was going to win, and they had those numbers already set. And Washington State, pretty much we knew that there was going to be a guaranteed win. We had really good numbers showing up there. Minnesota, we knew that that amendment was going to fail, because in Minnesota, which is different from California, you have to have an affirmative yes. That means that you have to have at least 52% of the people supporting it in order for an amendment to pass. And it didn't pass. And we knew that that was going to happen. So Wolfson knew that, and he said, he tried to take credit for something that's already was going to happen anyway. The problem was that in Maryland, we needed to work a little bit harder on that, and we did. And guess what? We won, thanks to the hard work that many of you have placed. You have contributed to this outcome, and I congratulate everybody in Maryland. I'm going to say something that probably this douchebag doesn't want to say. Congratulations, Maryland. You did it. Your hard work paid off. You went out there and you worked so many hours for free. Pay your own meals. You probably had to pay for your own gasoline to get to the places that you needed to get. Wasting your time and money on this. Not wasting, but spending your time and your money on this issue. And you finally got what we needed in Maryland. And you did it. You made a lot of sacrifices, and we had to thank you for that. And I hope that my meager contribution has some impact, and I hope it did. At least pay for a couple of the pizzas that you had. And I'm fine with that. And I think that you guys down there in Maryland, you had a very good thing going. And you have made history, basically. You're part of history. Congratulations. Pat yourself in the back. You were hardworking and you deserve this veneration that I'm giving you. You deserve it because you people worked so hard. All of you campaign workers, all you volunteers, you worked so hard. Don't let this little cubicle sitting fat ass telling you, oh, if it wasn't for me. We know what happened. But there you go. Typical of this career politician activist. Another Obama bot, by the way. Have you noticed that all these crazy Obama bots, you know what they are? It's all about egos. It's all about personalities. It's all about who did what. And I'm like, no, we work as a team. Stop with all this shit that it wasn't for me. So what? Can I say then, if it wasn't for Jose Soto and his meager contribution to the Maryland campaign, if it wasn't for Jose Soto, then oh no, we couldn't win. We needed those couple bucks that he sent in, or else it wouldn't have happened. Please, let's not be delusional about this. Everybody that supported this needed it to contribute. End the story. That's it. If you believe in this cause, like I do, if you believe in equal treatment, like I do, if you believe in the 14th Amendment, like I do, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in a civilized and a highly intellectual society like I do, then you contribute to this campaign and you stop it with these egos and these I did this and I did that shit. Stop it. It's not about you. It's about our society. It's about our community. It's about our country. It's about the future of the next generation. Are we going to have a country that really supports all the amendments of the Constitution? Or are we just going to sit back and masturbate ourselves and finger ourselves up the ass and take credit for somebody else's work? We're not going to do that. But this guy he really takes the trophy of douches. I mean, he really does. So, but anyway, I don't know. We have to work together again, I guess, because now we have to go to Illinois. We have to go to Oregon. We have to go to New Mexico. That's one other place nobody's talking about. Yes, we can look at that place. We can look at Minnesota to pass a gay marriage bill. And where else can we look at? Some people are saying we have to look at what? Is that it? Is that it for right now? Well, the states that we can look at for the next election cycle? I think that's it. Some people are saying that we can roll back Florida and repeal that amendment that they passed. Or New Jersey. Some people are talking about New Jersey. We could probably work in New Jersey. I mean, there's so many states that we have to work on. So, it's not like, I mean, we don't have any time or space for people like Evan Wolfson to be like, if it wasn't for me. Shut up already. Be happy that we fucking won this shit. Fucking Christ.